State of Nevada versus Roger Hillygus and Stewart Handte, RCR 2019-103468. Counsel, please state your appearances for the record.
I'm Amos Stege. I represent the state of Nevada.
You're muted, Mr. Pitaro, I believe. There you go, Mr. Pitaro. I should be able to hear you now.
Can you hear me now, Judge?
Yes.
Okay. I was born 2 generations before all this technical. Tom Pitaro and Stewart Handte, I don't know if he's on or not. He was going to try to get on.
All right, let's ask the clerk. Do we have Mr. Handte as one of the logged on Zoom participants today?
No, his name is not on here yet, Judge.
Okay, so he's not logged on yet. Mr. Pitaro, would you like to proceed without him in the event that he does not log on today?
Yes, Your Honor, and I wasn't aware till this morning that he wanted to log on, so I spoke with the Deputy District Attorney, and he had no objection to us proceeding without him also.
All right. And Mr. Hillygus, I see you're there. Can you state your name for the record, please, sir?
Roger Hillygus, attorney in fact, representing the criminal defendant, Roger Hillygus.
Good afternoon. And I would note we seem to have a number of other folks on the Zoom call today. As you can see, counsel, we are streaming all these proceedings on YouTube. If you look at the upper left corner of your screen, you should see that little sign there. So if the public wishes to watch, that is the forum in which they should watch the proceedings, is the YouTube link. I believe Mr. Hillygus is one of the folks that's joined with us here, Secretary.
That's correct, Your Honor. I've got 2 of my secretaries present on the meeting today, Ashraf Haroon and Brent Gurney.
All right, so I'll allow them to be present in this forum, but just know in the future they can always watch on the YouTube link. And what today is set for is it is a status hearing to discuss setting a date for the preliminary hearing, because at the last time we were here and we discussed things, and counsel, you all can update me if things have changed, is that Mr. Stege's request was to do the preliminary hearing by Zoom. I believe Mr. Pitaro and Mr. Hillygus wanted to do it in person, and we set this status hearing basically to see if anything had changed regarding the community health, regarding the courts, to see if we could hold a preliminary hearing. So let me turn it over to counsel, and I'll address each of you in turn. Mr. Stege, your thoughts on when and how we hold the preliminary hearing, given where we are today?
I don't know that there's been much change in the public health situation. I do note that the district court here is anticipating in the next 2 weeks starting in-person jury trials. I don't know where that puts us. I believe Sparks Justice Court is also moving towards more in-person activity.
Mr. Pitaro?
Yes, yes, Your Honor, thank you. Mr. Handte is specified that he wants an in-person preliminary hearing. We have the same situation down here. The district court down in Las Vegas is not having live trials every week. It's next week they're going to start. I don't know really if they're going to start next week or not. Federal court is the same way. I think we're all in the same boat. No one really knows when this thing is going to break and they're going to do live proceedings or not. So that's the only input I can give. I assume Reno, listening to Amos, is basically in the same situation, that we keep hoping for the best and we just keep going on.
Mr. Hillygus?
My position has not changed, Your Honor. I am still wanting to have the preliminary hearing in the courthouse live. And I would like to focus on the appearance of my secretary related to the Zoom meetings.
Sure, what would you like to say about that?
I would like that he can participate in the Zoom meetings and does not have to be attending the hearing through the YouTube channel, because I'm going to be requesting that he represent me as a pro hoc vice.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, sir.
Well, a pro hoc vice, that he can be allowed to speak on my behalf at this instant, at this particular hearing, because of equality and fairness and reasonableness. I'm asking for assistance, and that he can aid and assist and support me in these hearings. I have had 2 traumatic brain injuries, and although I am sui juris, I have a hard time expressing what I want to say at a particular time. And I would like Mr. Haroon to assist and aid me so that I can have a fair opportunity as a criminal defendant.
And I just have a question. Is Mr. Haroon an attorney?
No. No, he's not.
All right. So again, for today, I have allowed all of the secretaries to be present. And at this point, all we're doing is discussing how and when we're going to hold the preliminary hearing. I am not planning on getting into anything legal related other than that issue. And it sounds like everyone at this point would like an in-person hearing. And so we have had some preliminary hearings and trials go forward in person with very strict rules and limited times for witnesses and rules about masks and following all of the health department directives. So what I would be willing to do at this point, obviously I understand the serious nature of the allegations and the length of time this case has been pending, is I'd be willing to set the preliminary hearing for in person at this point, because I just don't see in another 6 months we may be in the same situation as far as health of the community goes. But we will need, in my opinion, to special set this on the docket. And I want to make sure that council and everyone is aware that there are going to be rules on physical distancing. Everyone needs to wear masks in the building at all times. That's a health department rule. And all the evidence and any documents is going to need to be provided to the court clerk in advance, so that we limit the amount of people that are touching the physical evidence as much as possible. And these are pretty standard things that are being done, at least in the courts in Northern Nevada, as far as I'm aware. I'm not sure, Mr. Pitaro, what they're doing in Vegas, but these are some things that we're doing here to try and limit the spread of COVID. So I anticipate, and council can correct me if I'm wrong, that this will take at least 1 full day. Mr. Stege, your thoughts?
I agree that it would take that long. And I would like to weigh in on the question of the in-person thing, which I neglected. But I'm in agreement for an in-person preliminary hearing. I asked the court to allow. There will be, I predict, certain witnesses who are not comfortable doing that, or who should not do that. For example, there are employees of a nursing home who are witnesses. In my view, because the law does not compel or require an in-person preliminary hearing, and I think the court would be hard pressed to sort of find a mandate to require it, that certain witnesses be exempted from in-person testimony, and that be at their choice.
So we have employed kind of the hybrid model, such as Mr. Stege is suggesting. And Mr. Stege, if there are witnesses for specific health reasons, such as the ones you just cited, that you feel need to testify remotely, I will certainly be willing to consider that, as long as you would just file a brief motion regarding that. I would certainly be willing to do that if the health circumstances of their employment, or perhaps if people have very serious underlying medical conditions, I will consider that for all witnesses that either any of the three counsel wish to make a motion for those particular witnesses due to specific health concerns. Does that answer your question, Mr. Stege?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Although it's not the answer I was seeking, given that the order says everything is going to be by audio-visual means. The law does not compel in-person prelims. So that sort of that affirmative step, I'm not a fan of, but of course I will follow what the court has directed.
Yes, if you just let us know again, it doesn't have to be a lengthy motion, just something in writing so we're aware of the hows and the whys, and I'm certainly willing to consider that and make some exceptions in the case to allow those vulnerable folks to remain out of the facility. So if we are looking at a date, I think we'll need the assistance of our court clerk. It would likely be a Friday. That is the date usually that our court sets aside to hold cases that may take a bit longer or need a bit more time. Counsel, how far out would you suggest?
I would assume sometime in October.
It'd have to be late October, Mr. Stege?
Or what did it, the only brief, the end of November, I am set to, for a murder trial in November. If it goes, it's, believe it or not, the guy's been in custody 20 years. And so at some point in time, we're gonna have to try the case. But either, I guess, late October or early December, or December would work too, I think.
Mr. Stege?
For my trial calendar, I would be looking at the 18th of December and backfilling from there. I'm first on the flight of trials for the 12th of October for a 2-week murder trial. I also have a December 7th murder trial in Department 9.
So December 18th is a date that would work for you, Mr. Stege?
I'm just double checking real quick here.
Sure.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Hillygus, would December 18th work for you, sir?
Did you say December 18th or November?
I did. December with a D?
You know, I'm wanting to get this resolved as soon as possible. I've been wanting that for months now. It's over a year. But there are some discoverable items that I have not been provided to me. And one is the Reno Police case number 19.015652. And we have attempted through my secretary and through your recommendation to reach out to meet and confer with John Gieri, and he's refused to meet with us regarding the information on that case number. And there are other issues that we're looking to resolve through meet and confer process, and that has not happened at this point. So for me to set a date, I am going to need some information, and that's the Reno Police case number 19.015652.
Mr. Stege, any information about the discovery issues?
There are no discovery issues. After however many months this has been, we were finally able to deliver discovery to Mr. Hillygus after between the intervening time of the last setting, and I believe it was last week. We had no contact from Mr. Hillygus. We had reams of bizarre, intelligible messages from Mr. Haroon. However, we were able to get that to him. There is no meet and confer requirement. That case number, that was the first time I've heard it being asked from Mr. Hillygus. So if Mr. Hillygus himself would like to ask which he has today, I would look into that, but sort of the overlay of all this is our rules on discovery and the case law interpreting it, and I'm confident I'm in compliance with both of those.
Right. Mr. Pitaro, would December 18th work for you?
I'll miss all the Christmas parties down here, but yes, I can make it as long as you get me home in time for Christmas.
All right. Well, and Mr. Hillygus, I certainly understand your desire to move forward. Believe me, the court has had, with the COVID issues, been trying very hard to move forward on these cases. And with the community health, it's been a challenge. But I would like to set it for 9 a.m. on December 18th. And the week before that, I would just like a quick status hearing just to make sure that we don't need to settle any issues. If council would like some witnesses to appear remotely, we can discuss those things then. We can also go over the safety and health protocols so everyone knows exactly what to expect before they come to court on the 18th. So I'll ask the clerk for a date. Let's set it at 2 weeks before that. And again, it won't be a lengthy hearing. It'll just be to confirm kind of how we're going to go through the process here.
We can set it for December 1st at 1:30 p.m.
November 1st?
December 1st at 1:30. That's just for basically the hearing to make sure we're all settled to go forward with the preliminary hearing on December 18th at 9 a.m. And we'll go over the safety protocols and any other issues in advance.
And that'll be on Zoom, Your Honor?
Yes, that will be by Zoom.
Thank you.
Anything further, council, before we adjourn for the day?
Only that Mr. Stewart is now in the meeting.
Yes, I do see him there. Good afternoon, Mr. Handte. Anything else, Mr. Stege, Mr. Hillygus?
Your Honor, I would like to reserve an objection for later regarding the meet and confer. We've attempted through a forensic analysis that we've attempted to meet with Mr. Stege, meet with Mr. Gieri, his investigator, to resolve a lot of the issues in our initial forensic analysis regarding the ambush evidence and regarding a witness list and regarding the declarations of these witnesses. And it's not a case number, it's an incident number. It's a Reno PD 19-015652. That is the case that was initiated. And I'd like all of the discovery from that case number, that incident number with the Reno police. But I would like to reserve an objection for later regarding the meet and confer. We are attempting to resolve this, and without any communication or without any conference calls, we cannot move forward with discovery.
So, Mr. Hillygus, I hear your objection. That's been put on the record here today. Mr. Stege has stated that the discovery has been provided to you and that he has heard the case number for the first time today that you mentioned. So again, counsel can be in communication without the court through these things and about these things, and you've put your objection on the record, Mr. Hillygus. All right, counsel. So thank you very much all for your time today, and I look forward to speaking with you on December 1st, if not before then.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.